So good afternoon, morning, evening, night, wherever you may be. Thought I'd do a quick video explaining who we are, what we're doing. My name is Mikey. I'm the founder of the CCW, the Cambridge Centre for Wildlife. I've been involved in battling wildlife crime for probably around 6 years now, since I was about 15. I've always been quite passionate about wildlife and about conservation of wildlife. This year, April 2020, I decided to start my own non-profit tackling wildlife crime, and so far it's going pretty interestingly. Obviously we've had the COVID pandemic, been interesting to navigate around. It's a first for me, it's a first for many people, but so far we're doing pretty well. I thought I'd share with our supporters and maybe people who don't know who we are a little update about how things are going. So the main aim of the Cambridge Centre for Wildlife was to help prevent wildlife crime, deal with wildlife crime, assist the police in dealing with these issues as well. When I set up the CCW, my main aim was to try and stop wildlife crime, try and stamp it out for good. Obviously there's a few ways that we can do that. There's a few different types of wildlife crime that we're involved in. Things like hare coursing, poaching, fly tipping, illegal hunting with dogs. These are all issues that I'm focusing on at the moment with the CCW. So far we are doing pretty well. We have set up our first program to help train new people coming into the organisation. So some of the things that we were looking to do as a way of detecting wildlife crime. So we're setting up a system for landowners using remote access cameras, CCTV, that they can work with us and we can detect wildlife crime happening, report it to the police, respond ourselves if necessary. Depending on the issue, everything is obviously done case by case basis, but that's something that we're working on at the moment, working with landowners, getting cameras set up on their farms, on their large properties, try to catch people who are illegally coming onto their property to do harm to wildlife. I think this is really important because obviously landowners have frequently been the human victim of wildlife crimes, things like hare coursers doing damage to their fields, poachers doing damage to their property, potentially creating a dangerous situation for them and their families as well. So that's why we have decided that we're going to try and start stamping that out, especially in Cambridgeshire where we're based. Another thing that we're working on at the moment, this is more in its infancy, is taking historical crime statistics, historical reports of wildlife crime, trying to figure out where best to place resources. That's something that we're working on at the moment, where we can predict the next incident to happen. One of the things that we currently have active, something that people can use right now, is our online reporting system. You can go on our website, cambridgecenterforwildlife.org, link below. You can go on our website, you can report crime in progress, you can report crime that's previously happened. In addition to this, we have a phone line, especially for crimes that are currently in progress, things that you are concerned about. You can phone us directly. Depending on the situation, we might be able to send people over there immediately, maybe give you some guidance whether the police should be called. Obviously there is some quick guidance on whether you should call the police. Generally speaking, if there's a crime in progress or if you feel alarmed, harassed or distressed, you should call the police immediately. So currently we're working on our preemptive response to events. We're getting a lot of information before the fact about crimes that are going to happen. We are sending people out there to monitor these events, liaise with the police, provide security, and provide aid. That ties me in nicely to one of the things that I wanted to come on to, which was the training our staff and our volunteers are given. All of our staff are trained in animal aid, canine first aid, which is quite universal to the animals that we treat, four-legged animals basically. We're dealing with a lot of foxes, a lot of deers, things like that. We are considering doing another training run for our volunteers and our staff that would allow them to take training on small mammals, things like rabbits, hares, things like that as well. And so all of our staff are trained in dealing with canine first aid, which is a bulk of what we'll be dealing with. We are just getting started up at the moment. As I said, we started in April. Not all of the training that we want to do is done. Some of it is quite expensive, so we are working on that. We also have some people, including myself, who are SIA trained. This basically means that they are trained in physical intervention, as well as a myriad of other skills, which will help deal with suspects should we ever come into contact with suspects. SIA training basically means that you're trained in arrest, you're trained in detainment, safely detaining people, working with the police, what you can arrest for, what you can't arrest for as a private citizen, things like that. So me personally, I've got over 6 years of experience in dealing with kind of wildlife crime, which is an organised form of crime. I've been quite successful in the past in dealing with these incidents. I think that the hopes are pretty high. Touched briefly on wildlife protection officers. I've touched briefly on how we're getting our information. I want to talk about wildlife protection patrols. This is something that we're working on at the moment. It's still in its infancy, but we want to provide a high visibility presence in these rural communities with trained professionals who will be looking out for signs of poaching, signs of hare coursing, things like that, and try and reassure the rural community a little bit that there is someone there dealing with these incidents, even when the police, might not be able to respond because of their lack of resources, whatever it may be. There will be wildlife protection officers in the area, hopefully to discourage illegal behaviour, especially to do with wildlife. Keep the communities safer, keep the animals safer in those areas, and we think that's really important, so that's something that we're working on pretty hard at the moment. So currently, I mentioned before that you can call our phone line, which is on the screen now. If you call that phone line, it will go straight through to someone who is either a volunteer or working for the CCW. Sometimes we're not always able to come to the phone, sometimes we are quite busy, but you should be able to get through to someone, and we should be able to come out if you can get through to someone. There is someone available. We will advise as well, call the police if there's a crime in process, call 999, speak to them first. When they're done with you, then you can call us, and then we'll get someone sent out. That is very important. Police are police, they should be enforcing the law. We're there because we're specialists in wildlife crime. That's what we're there for. So obviously, as mentioned, we're a very new organisation, just started this April. We're still getting our feet on the ground, we're still working on getting funding, we're still working on getting equipment. We have set out a pretty good framework for what we're looking to do here in terms of getting people trained, in terms of getting volunteers on. We are already able to respond, which I think is quite impressive with the team that has been working on this. We're already able to respond to preemptive reports. In some cases we can respond to ad hoc kind of call-outs, so I think that's pretty good. I would like to thank everyone that's helped me work on that. So far we haven't really received any donations whatsoever, not even a single penny. This is something that I funded myself. This is something that I'm working on at the moment. Obviously, as we start doing more things, then we'll hopefully gain a little bit more support. It is challenging starting a new organisation with no funding, but hopefully CCW will go well. We've got a lot of people working on it, volunteers working on it, we've got a lot of training going on, so hopefully we'll make a positive impact on rural communities around Cambridgeshire and beyond.